Hope I get the chance to travel the world, but I don't have any plans. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wise.
Probably wondering what I'm doing. I think I've not done this one there, and I like adventures, not just action, not just horror, but adventures. That being Raiders of the Lost Ark. Classic from 1981, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, as you know, Steven Spielberg did all the date films, whether it be Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and so on. And then you get George Lucas, well known for American Graffiti, and one of the other ones he's well known for would have been, as we all know, Star Wars. He also did, XT2000, remember that's the name, together with Martin Rond, but we all remember George Lucas for Star Wars. Now at the time, they was going to do something like a James Bond sort of spin-off. I can't remember now if it was Steven Spielberg or it could have been George Lucas what thought the idea, let's do a James Bond sort of spin-off. But I could have been right one. I think it could have been Steven Spielberg, could be right one. And he said, George, I've got a better one. Why not do a Buccaneer adventure film such as like the 1930s and 40s serials? It was like, wasn't taken serious. It was a Buccaneer adventures. And then they'd think of names, and the name would be Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, there was a character like a hero, like a Buccaneer serial type of adventurer, and they were thinking of all sorts of names. And one of the names would later come up, would be named Indiana Jones, and the rest is history. And then they'd had a look for actors. One of the actors, and I think you all may know this, would have been Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck, I love, very underestimated actor. I always thought he was one of my favourite actors, and he'd have to be one of them. But at the time, we all know Tom Selleck was making it big with Magnum P.I. Couldn't do it. Then you got Nancy Iron from Marion, who was an actress who was going to go for the role. She got the role. Again, just like with Star Wars, they was being very hesitant of they didn't want Harrison Ford. But then after other actors and Tom Selleck couldn't do the role, they decided, fuck it, we'll give him a chance. And I've got to admit, they made a good choice. But saying that, there are times where I do think, well, it would have been like if Tom Selleck would have got the role. Because I've seen, right, I'm not joking you, I've seen the original outtakes and when they were doing, like they do when they're filming it, and when he was doing the lines for the role, he was pretty good. He was long and he was good looking then. Still, he's had a lucky die for his age now, Tom Selleck. And it was the same, he never got the role, but he made it big with Magnum P.I. He made it big with other stuff. But again, you got Harrison Ford, and he's fucking brilliant. He's just fit for the role, fit. And without Raiders of the Lost Ark, you wouldn't have got the sequels, and you wouldn't have got the spin-offs, whether it be Romance in the Stone, King Solomon's Mind, and even pop videos tried to imitate Raiders. There's even one pop video that had the original poster. But yeah, I like Raiders. Now, in many ways, I always think Raiders of the Lost Ark is more like a fucking horror movie. Think about it. You've got Indy at the opening, right, going through the jungle. They go into a tomb. You've got bodies everywhere, dead bodies, rotting corpses. Bit ballsy for PT. And you've got spikes, and you've got bugs. You've got that scene with the spiders are all on that guy's back, and Indy's pushing them off with his whip. I'd love to see where he gets the Argo. He says, throw me the whip and I'll give you the Argo. Throws it in. He's out doing his deed. Indy finds his body with the spikes sticking out of his neck and through his head. Pretty gruesome for a PT. Sometimes I'm thinking, this is PT. This is more gruesome than some of the shit you see nowadays. But yeah, Raiders, I fucking love Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a fucking classic. So he gets the Argo, and then he gets the main villain, That being, if I can remember his name, Sodom. Yeah, Sodom. And Sodom is just a dick. He sends these people, I think they're like natives, I don't think they're cannibals, but they're sort of like natives, so they sort of will fucking kill you and look at you. Indy gets away, and that's when you get that beautiful, remember what I'm doing? I'm not going to do the rest because I'll fucking kill it. But yeah, you get that classic theme. Now before people said, oh, it's going to go to Indiana Jones, and over the years on video and DVD, they've called it Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was not. It was fucking not. The film was called Raiders of the Lost Ark because they did not know it was going to be so successful. It was like a tryout, right? In 81 you had a lot of big films, you know. You had One Hour Food, Time Bandits, you had Tarzan and the Ape Man, you had For Your Eyes Only, the James Bond film, and you had Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it was a big hit in 81, the summer of 1981, I could be right and wrong there. It was a fucking big hit. And Nancy Iron, I love her as a dirge. She's not your tango in distress. He meets her in a bar when they're looking for the Ark of the Covenant, and she just fucking twats him. She fucking twats him. But I'm going ahead of myself here. Indy ain't just an archaeologist, as we all know. He's a student teacher. You know, I think he's in like a university. I could be right and wrong there. And he's teaching young people, you know, a bit of history and archaeology and all that. You got one of the great actors in it who's no longer with us, may he rest. And he meets these people who are like, you know, a bit like high up people, and they want the Ark of the Covenant. And again, Raiders of the Lost Ark, in my eyes, it's a fucking horror movie. I'm not going to make this shit up. It, in my eyes, is a fucking horror movie. How many fucking movies do you see where they open a box with evil spirits, what will fly out, make your fucking head explode, crush your fucking head, fry your fucking face, like it does with Toad, the lot. That is more scary on some of the shit they make nowadays. And it's just him going on the test, looking for the Ark of the Covenant. Meets Marion, like I said, meets other people on the way. You got that beautiful theme tune, you've got it all. I do love the design of the tombs and all. The scene when he goes in that tomb and he's dead shitless of snakes. You got snakes coming out everywhere. Love it. Fucking love it. And I also love the scene where they fall in that other tomb, it breaks down, and Marion thinks it's Inda, wraps her arms around thinking it's Inda, and she get all them dead bodies throwing all over her. I always wonder whether that would have been the idea of Steven Spielberg when he did Poltergeist one year after. It's very similar, even though there was rumours he used real bodies in Poltergeist. But it was pretty spooky. You got all them bodies falling all over you. You got that really frightening one with a snake coming out of the mouth. Oof. But yeah, I love Raiders. I've always loved it. When I was a kid, loved it then. And like I say, for PT, it was pretty fucking ballsy, some of the things in it. Now you got that big guy with a bald head, big muscles. Fight me, Indy, fight me. And he just tries to fight him and gets his shit knocked out of him. That braid comes out. Brilliant. But yeah, I just love Raiders of the Lost Ark. Classic film from 81. And like I say, it's just a classic, an absolute fucking classic. You got the main villain, right, Gold Toad, and he's trying to get that idol and he burns his hand. He has like that brand on his hand and he's Toad. I love to see when he's trying to burn Marion and Indy comes out in the nick of time, uses that fucking rip. And he actually used that rip like a pole, like a fucking lion trainer. There's bits in it, rare footage, where you see the old set when he was doing it with a rip, when he was auditioning for Indy. Pretty interesting how it looked back then in them eras. Love it. But yeah, you got Indy, brilliant. And it was, like I say, it was a big hit in 81, brilliant. You had pop videos, you had Duran Duran, you had fucking Dane Boulder, you know, Duran Duran, the lead singer, trying to imitate Indy. You had them all trying to imitate Indy. Let's not forget the advert, if I can remember it, Owens Rose, with the guy going in that tomb, looks pretty like the tomb you see, trying to get that. And that's what did that, it was Indy. Indy inspired a fucking lot of interesting things. Indiana Jones did it, and I love Nancy Iron, thought she was brilliant, she was beautiful, again, not all about a fucking nail, she kicked ass. I love it. I love the scene with the blood kills that bald guy, who was, as we all know, was a wrestler, that being Pat Roach, may he rest in peace, who, funny enough, appeared in one after, that being the Temple of Doom. Played 2 parts in Raiders. He played the guy with the beard who indie fights in a bar, and then plays the bald guy who gets cut to pieces. I just love it. Like I say, you got the bad guys and they're all trying to get the art. You know, you've seen the story, you know how it goes. They're in the desert and they get them. And there's a bit where I'm thinking, well, why did Indy just give up? Chance is, you got fucking Mario, and if you blew that art up, what would it have achieved? Then he blew it up, they would have got killed for fuck all. Now, Indy saw a book where it was to do with the Romans who had wanted it before, and he saw what it did. If you open the Art of Covenants, you know what it did. And let's just get to the point. The Germans want invincibility, they're powerful like they did in the 1930s. Because in all fairness, we all know Raiders was based on 1936. And again, it was only called Raiders of the Lost Ark because they did not know they were going to make sequels. They did not know how successful it was going to be. They wanted to make something like Bond, they made it their own. And it worked. I miss films like this. I fucking miss films like this. But they open the Ark. The box comes out, they think it's doing fuck all at first, and that's when the lightning comes out, and then they've got that beautiful spirit woman flies about, which in real life was a woman underwater, not this CGI shit you see nowadays. She was underwater, and all they did was film it and made it black and white, and that's how they did, and pulled off that spirit of a woman, and they just used loads of footage of her, and she's flying about. She is a beautiful spirit, and then you got Told, and he says it's beautiful, and that's when he turns into that fucking skeleton, wipes them all out. Toad's face, let's not forget, fucking thighs, melts, see it melting into the hat. See that other German guy, and then you see the main bad guy himself, that being Sorum, and his head just goes and blows up. Now I do know that Steven Spielberg didn't want it to go too far. He tried to keep it as mild as possible, so he did put in this fire to cover that his head blew up. He didn't want it to go higher than what the rating were. But for a PT, I've got to admit, Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's fucking ballsy. It's ballsy. Watched it loads of times, like I said, when I was a kid, growing up, got the box set, fucking love it, love it. I might even talk about the other indies because they were all good. In my eyes, they weren't a bad one. I might even know the fourth one because watched it, enjoyed it, sort of went there over this. To me, sort of ended with the third. Can't do with old man jokes. Sort of ended with the third. But you had lots of spin-offs, you know what I mean? You had King Solomon's Mind, you had The Follow Up, if you remember the name of it, City of Gold. You had Romance in the Stone, you had Pop Singers, Saw Down to Imitate Inda, you had adverts, like I say, the roles they, if you remember it, Owens, if you remember the ad for the dice going in the tube. You had Diet Coke, Market, which would have been the last Inda. You had it all when it was fans because of Raiders. In my eyes, it changed the look of that fencer. Let's not forget the stuntman who went under that truck. This was a proper 1936 truck, and he actually fractured his fucking legs. I'm not making this shit up. He fractured both of his legs. He was a real Australian stuntman. Fractured his fucking legs. After that, he had the diet stuntman now to do stunts. I think he did Die Hard with a Vengeance. He was, I mean, he was dieting the stuntman now to do that because he didn't do any more stunts after this. It fucked up both of his knees doing that amazing stunt when it was a real 36 truck, you know, based on World War II. And I think Raiders did it all. I mean, Raiders, without Raiders of the Lost Ark, you wouldn't have had Indian Temple of Doom, you wouldn't have had The Last Crusade, you wouldn't have had the spin-offs, the pop videos, and everything influenced from Raiders. In my eyes, that's a fucking classic. They don't make films like this anymore, and it's sad. It is fucking heartbreaking, but they don't make fucking films like this anymore. And it's a fucking shame. It is a fucking shame. Because Raiders, in my eyes, is how you do an adventure film. And you know what? I think they should make more films like this. No, I don't want to fucking see a fucking remake. Hollywood, you remake everything in sight these days. You ought to make more films like Inda. You ought to. other than that, I might talk about the others one day round the road. But until then, see you later.